people who complain about, oh, I'm so tied up, or I can't keep up, or blah, blah, blah. 90% of the time, those are the guys who wake up at 9 o'clock.
Family support is very important part of the starting of business.
It became very evident from the get-go that this country is not for the lazy. We still work the same hours, the same amount of hours. But where I end my day is at your lunchtime. So there's a big difference there.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining back to our next episode, Building Canada. And before we will start and I will introduce my next guest, please subscribe and share this information with people who really need to get inspired. And I want to introduce my next special guest because even I don't know so many things about him, but people saying that he's a unique person. Ishkhan, thank you for coming. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Ishkhan, let's start from because I start to connect some kind of information about you, and we met before, but we had a short conversation together. So let's start from the time when you moved to Canada. Like it was right before like high school time, like.
Yeah, it was right before high school. It was probably grade 7. I was 14 years old. I was lucky enough to be a Canadian citizen from the beginning.
So how that come?
So my father came to Canada in the 60s and 70s and studied here.
Oh, okay.
He studied all kinds of different things. He was a traveler. He had a lot of friends. And he just, for 9 years he was here. He got his citizenship. He worked. He was a taxi driver for a short period of time as well. He liked race cars, so he did some demo derby. I guess that's where my love of cars also comes from. Yeah, and we were lucky enough, me and my siblings, to be Canadian citizens because for some reason we never got our Lebanese citizenship. We were born there, but it just the way things work is just we never got our Lebanese citizenship, and we were Canadian citizens living in Lebanon. We had to pay annually to be allowed to live in Lebanon, which was kind of a financial burden on my mom and my parents. So yeah, it was always at the back of our minds to end up here somehow, because of the promises of a great future and all that. So yeah, we moved here.
So you've been before in Canada, or that's your first?
That was the first time for me.
So you became an immigrant even with as a Canadian citizen, like because the feeling it's even you have a passport, you are citizen, but I don't think that's changed your feelings when you came to Canada. So which kind of cultural shock you like? Do you remember those days? Like any?
Absolutely. So yeah, I grew up in a small Armenian district called Burchamud in Beirut, Lebanon, which is literally surrounded by Armenian schools and churches, and the streets are flooded by Armenians. All the stores are Armenian. So where I grew up was very Armenian, and to the point where at that age I couldn't speak Arabic fluently.
Wow.
And it was hard for me. And at the same time, for me, Arabic wasn't important because at the back of my mind there was always Canada.
No.
So from an earlier age, somebody told me Canada, 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 and I had no idea what it was, where it was, how it was. All I knew is that Santa Claus lives here. So it was weird. It was weird. But because it was kind of embedded in our heads that we would end up here, we always looked forward to it. We didn't know when it was going to be. We weren't fortunate enough to afford plane tickets at any given time. So also, when my father passed away in '96, my mother wasn't able to kind of get a visa and come to Canada because she wasn't a Canadian citizen either. So my sister came to Canada around 2000, and she went to U of T. And then 3-4 years later, I came here with my mom. And it wasn't so much of a cultural shock. It was more of being dropped in a very cold place. I came here in December, and I had never felt that kind of clean air. Because I grew up in Beirut, which is very polluted. So the air was kind of more of a shock than the actual culture. You see it on TV, you see North America. For whoever's coming to Canada, money doesn't grow on trees, that's for sure. So that was kind of the...
Okay, so you came to Canada with your own dream and in a high school. Even it's not a cultural shock, but it's a different kind of thinking here that you met, especially in high school. Like I met the family. They were kids when they came to Canada. It's a high school time, and they were like, they were different thinking, different things, and those kids are having their kind of challenges to be involved in the society because it's a different kind of thinking, even it's not cultural. So you remember those days, like how easy you got involved in a society, even in a high school society?
So, I mean, it all started before I came here. It was, hearing stories from friends, cousins, etc., even people who have never left the country about Canada. Everybody said something. It was very hyped up. It was always about, oh, it's a land of opportunity, and it's great. But when I came here and I went to the Armenian school, of course, and for me it felt very different, but it wasn't very different at the same time. The roots were always there.
Yeah.
The biggest shock for me was, the how fluent these Armenian kids were speaking English. 'Cause
Oh.
they're born here, obviously. And that was my biggest thing because I had a very heavy accent, and it was my first time ever conversing in English at 14 years old. Well, that wasn't my
Yeah.
mother
that's
tongue,
all.
of course, so it was very weird. That was the weird part. Besides that, I mean, yeah, it was that. It was just trying to blend with
Not-
your surroundings.
I see.
Besides that, I mean, yeah, it's different.
What, like, even like the positive way you said, like, wow, this is a great that I moved to Canada one of those days. Like, what was the surprise you in a positive way? Remember, like, those feelings?
Yeah, I mean, Canada itself, like, it could have been anywhere in the world, and it would have I've probably had the same feelings about the country or wherever I was going. It was more so not being in Lebanon.
Oh, I see.
That was kind of the
Yeah.
silver lining in the whole story, because truly it's a whole different world.
I see.
And you could go back there right now, and it's basically the same thing. So Canada specifically wasn't the big change. It was not Lebanon
Oh, I
per
see.
se.
And so after high school, let's go to the next level. So what was your dream after high school? What you were thinking to, like, even become? Which kind of profession you were thinking? So what was your path? What was the building?
So honestly, my path didn't start after high school. It was during high school.
Oh, okay.
So at the beginning, when I first moved here, it was obviously middle of summer. We were sharing a small apartment with a roommate that included myself, my sister, and my mother. Financially, obviously, we weren't in any
Yeah.
reasonable shape, but it was always, it became very evident from the get-go that this country is not for the lazy. It is not for somebody who can sit home, even at an early age, and just wait for the future to happen. It was very obvious, and I realized that when I went to go buy something from Fairview Mall at the time that we were living next to, and it was like, wow, everything's expensive. A pair of shoes is $100.
Wow.
How am I going to afford a pair of shoes, for example, right? And then I could see the struggle in my mom and in my sister, how they were trying to make do, whether it was a school uniform or a pair of boots or winter clothes or whatever. Obviously, we didn't come prepared. So all that kind of, it was a shock at that time for me to say, you know what, this academic world that I'm in right now, the school that I'm in right now, is not going to give me what I want. I'm never going to be the kid to sit behind a book or sit behind a screen and study for hours on end. It was just not for me. So I quickly realized that the school that I was in, whether it was the Armenian school or any other school, it was just not for
And
me.
you were paying for school too.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of money. It's still a lot of
Yeah.
money. I mean, for good reason, but
Yeah, no,
we
but
won't get into
it's
that.
like when moving and having those
Of course, yeah.
challenges and still keeping you in Armenian community.
Correct. So at that age, the first thing I did, I said, I either go buy shoes or I go and buy a snow shovel so I can go clear some driveways, make some money that way.
Wow.
So I went and bought a shovel. And then slowly after, I bought a cart, I got some salt, so I was doing the whole thing. I would come back from school, not even change, just grab my buggy, grab my shovel, and go shovel snow on driveways. I would do 5 or 6 a night. Whatever money I made was sometimes $30, sometimes $50. And I saved it. I just saved it. And I always, in my head, I wanted a Dodge Viper. That was my goal.
Oh,
I
I see.
wanted a
So you
car.
had the vision.
I loved cars. That was it has always been kind of a goal,
Yeah,
right? Even though it's material, it means nothing. But at the end of the day, it
it's a
was just a
vision.
vision of me blasting down the
Right.
highway in an American sports car. So
Nice.
that was kind of my push at an early age. And yeah, I mean, shortly after 2 years of high school, I decided I can't be there anymore. I have to start working full time right away, and I have to start making money. So I things were I wasn't a good kid in school. So I not that I was acting badly for rebellion. It was more so the struggle of finances was eating me.
I see.
I couldn't be independent without having money. I wanted to be independent. I wanted to work. I wanted to make my own money, and I wanted to be able to support myself because I didn't want to see my mom and my sister struggling to support me. So that independence was always part of me, and it was always kind of something that drove me. So at around 15, 16 years old, before I was legal to work, I started working at different shops until I could find a co-op program. I got into the co-op program. I switched schools. I did a co-op apprenticeship program during the day, and then I would go work at nights as well at a different shop to make some money besides the co-op money. So it was always one after the other, job after job, sometimes sleepless nights, barely any time to go home or do whatever. It was more the drive. You
I
know, it was
see.
kind of
But
a
what the biggest drive that you had? You mentioned that you were thinking about the car, and I think one of the main things that you were thinking to help to your family
yeah,
to like.
yeah.
But the action you were taking, you were always working for different jobs, which is good. But when did you like? But back that time, you were thinking to start a business. You were dreaming about the business, like,
No,
or you was just continuing to work.
it was mostly income, just to get some cash flow, just to get some money in my pocket. Um, the 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 shops that now from the get-go, I never worked anything else but steel.
Oh,
So
okay.
from the beginning, when I turned 16 or whatever, and I started working and started doing my co-op, it was always in welding, it was always in blacksmith work, it was always in steel work. And I don't know how that came about. It was, I had overheard somebody say welders make good money in Canada, and $28 an hour kind of was always thrown out there. And it kind of stuck with me, but I never really put effort into chasing that welding
I
thing
see.
until I turned 16. And then I was like, I need to make money. I need to work with my hands. I think that's what I need to do because that's what I think I will be good at. Not that I had done anything with my hands, but shovel snow. But that kind of got me into pursuing that trade in particular. So I looked for a welding program in a high school that would take me on, and I looked at co-op programs, and then the school helped me quite a bit, and they kind of found shops for me to put placements in, and then I did some searching as well, and then I found shops that would hire a kid with no experience. There were a lot of good, not opportunities, but people were just shocked that somebody that young wanted to get into such a dirty trade.
I see.
And it was good. I mean, from that point forward, I haven't looked back. I haven't
So
even
you were
dreamed
like doing.
about doing anything else because
So that's one of my questions, like because the business you are in will like be more details later. So, but it's not a part of the business that you were dreaming to have that kind of business or be in that kind of business. I believe that you start to as a job when those kind of like the industry, and then you decided, like in when 2020.
in year 2020, that was my. I've had a few misadventures, but this one in particular was the more serious, more educated choice to make at the time.
But let's go back. What kind of challenges you had before starting?
So after, so I worked at age 18 and onwards. I barely finished high school. I got my high school degree during this whole co-op program thing, but I left high school with two things. One of them was whatever experience I was able to accumulate between night shift and day shift. was a big plus, which accumulated enough hours for me to be able to get my welding licenses before I graduated high school, which is awesome. A
Yeah.
lot of people go to college to get that or wait till they're in their mid-20s to get that. So at 18 years old, I was able to get my
Get it.
licenses. I don't know if that's legal nowadays, but that's what ended up happening. So I got them. Then I started doing some. I did some instructing at a college level welding institute. So I was able to instruct newcomers or new on how to pass that particular welding certification, which was great for me. And then after that, I started working for a company, and shortly after that company, I was like, in my head, young, dumb, I had no idea what business meant, and I thought, I'm gonna buy a truck. I'm going to put a welding machine in the back. I'm gonna go weld myself. Sucks to say, this was the worst time ever to do that because A, I didn't have any money to do that. B, whatever money I had already spent on cars. And I was able to live under my own means, but it was not the right time to start a business, especially at that age with minimal experience. But I was able to do it. I did it for 3 years. It was a struggle, to say the least. I mean, paying rent and, paying truck payments and consumables and fuel and everything. And it was during that recession at 09, 2010. So it wasn't great. There was no work. But I was able to, weld dumpsters for people, fix random things. I was doing some emergency calls. I was able to get a small contract with Ishkhan and Dufferin at the time for emergency bridge repairs. So they would basically chip away the concrete from the bridges, and a welding inspector would say there's some failure points here, and then they would call on-call emergency welders to come and do it. So I was able to get into that, and I was able to make ends meet doing that for 3 years. But it came to a point where I was making money, but I was also spending money because of how competitive everything was. So that was my first venture. It was, I wouldn't say a failure. It was a really, it was a really good school in life, really.
Yeah, they were saying like there's like learning and there's a success. So this learning even bringing to this success step by step. So that was 2008, 2000.
That was 09 to 11,
then,
12.
Like after 3 years, what you did? You stopped your business back to the 9-to-5 job, or like
Precisely.
That's what you did.
I basically said, you know what, it's better I don't do this right now. I will come back and do this later. But I need more experience. I need more know-how. I need more, not training, but I need to know the trade more to be able to master it on my own. So I went back. I applied for a job, and people were like, "Wow, you've already been self-employed. What are you looking for a job?" I said, "Well, I do need a job. I have, a mortgage and whatever. Expenses are getting expensive, and living in Toronto is never cheap. So it's not cheap right now. It wasn't cheap then either. So it was still the drive for a better future. So at that point, I applied for a job, and I got a job at a structural steel company. They happened to be one of top 3 structural steel companies in the GTA at the time. And I went in as a welder installer, and then slowly worked my way up to a field supervisor for them. I was there for about 3 years, and then continued from one company to another, just changing positions, moving forward in my career, and to the point where we come to 2020.
Yeah, that's a click. I want to like
click,
what make that click for you to like, okay, that's enough. I'm starting my own business.
So it was 2019 around then where COVID was.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You
are choosing the right times to start a business.
It was the worst time ever, but it was a great time. I was working for a company. I had my good position of field supervisor. I was making really good money. At that time, I was recently, 17 I got engaged. Well, 17 I got married, but 15 I was engaged. And so it was that time where life was taking form, right? And it had already taken form, but at a pay scale that I wasn't, not that I wasn't satisfied with it. It was just, I had more ambitions. I wanted more independence. I didn't always wanted to work for somebody.
I see.
So an opportunity at the time came for, the company that I was working for at the time. There was some clashing between clients and the owner of the company, and they always wanted to work with me and the other project manager, me being a field supervisor and project manager. We were essentially running the business, but not at
This level.
that level. So we, they were always, there was always client to business issues, but there was never client to management issues because we were doing our job just fine. It was just when it came to business, it wasn't being done right. And me and the gentleman that I'm speaking about, we kind of pulled aside at the time and said, so he quit, and then 6 months later, I left the company, and we kind of joined forces and said, let's do what we did, but let's do it on our own. And let's not do it ourselves. Let's just sub out all the work. Let's
Oh,
do
okay.
consulting, like be the middleman, which was great. It made a lot of sense. We wouldn't have to do any of the work, just manage the
Selling
projects,
knowledge, yeah.
right? And it's our clients, so we know them very well. It's just we have to kind of create this new thing that we have to do the work, do very little work, but end up
More money.
cashing in all of that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, we would sub out the fabrication, we would sub out the installation, we would manage the crews, we would do the quality control, we would do all the engineering, all the drafting, all the paperwork that had to go with it. It was a kind of a change for me because I was always working on my hands. But that quickly turned into, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I want to sit at home and just relax. You run your operations, and we can still work together, but you need to have your own operations. I don't want to be subbing that much because there's money being left on the table. I said to myself, yeah, that's very true. I mean, our subcontractors are very highly paid personnel. Why don't we pay that to ourselves?
Oh, okay.
We have all the know-how. We have all the people. We can call. It's a phone call away to hire all these individuals that we used to work with and offer them good rates. And so quickly, within 6 months of our partnership, we kind of diverted and said, okay, you take care of engineering, detailing, and estimates and getting the jobs. I'll concentrate on the operations. Buy trucks, machines, an establishment, material stock, hire employees, and so on and so forth. And it turned into this very small business, but with huge projects.
Yeah, I've been on your place. I saw that there's like managing only that place, inventory, trucks. It's just like so many things is going around. Yeah.
So it kind of got big very quickly. It was to the point where many times we kind of took a step back and looked at it and we're like, this is going to get out of hand very quick, and I don't know if we can manage it because now the projects that we were doing at a very established business is now in our lap, and we have to take care of this. We have to take care of these clients somehow, but we don't have the resources. We don't have the overhead. We don't have the big factory with overhead cranes, and we don't have any of the, we know who to call, we know where to buy the stuff, but we don't have that kind of money to get these jobs. What do we do? So we decided we don't want to do any fabrication. We just want to concentrate on essentially estimating, getting the jobs, detailing, engineering. Again, same thing, kind of the consulting portion. But instead of doing the fabrication, which is a big, big money pit, rarely ever profitable, we'll sub that portion out only, and we do the installation portion, which we're great at. Formed a team, and that's what we did for the last 5 years, essentially.
So kind of you started the business again. The name of the business. How you came to the idea of that name?
It was my initials. It was kind of a last minute thing because I was like, I need an HST number, and so what do I put my business name as? So it was like my initials and then Ironworks. Ironworks was just what we do, and I kind of changed the letters and the thing to make it
And then
more of
made
a
it as a
niche thing,
brand.
and it kind of stands out, and it's pretty cool. And then
Yeah.
incorporated, so on and so forth.
So now when your family members are seeing your brand is there, so which kind of feelings and which kind of support did you have back that time from your family?
So I'd say my family, yeah, obviously they're proud, but you see, immediate family, as in my wife, my kids, I could see it in them that they're proud. And in a sense that, oh, they're like, oh, look, it's dad's shop, or it's
Mm-hmm.
dad's trucks, or dad's this, or dad's that, blah blah blah. So it's very rewarding seeing their reactions when they come into this
Yeah,
giant space and they see all these
happening
equipment and things
everything.
like that, which is great. But I mean, the foundations of our start of how we got there is a testament to, obviously I was never really good with finances. I was
Mm.
never ever good at managing finances. My wife comes into play
Oh, I see.
huge when it comes to that. Ever since we got engaged, ever since we got married, we were, from that point forward, we became a team,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a goal in our head that we want to achieve things. And she wanted to concentrate on her career. I wanted to concentrate on my career. But we had to kind of, to survive this craziness of expensive Toronto or the GTA or Canada
Yeah,
in general, we had to really get together and
team up.
think, be very strategic on
Yeah,
how we move forward, whether it was through real estate
yeah, it's the same thing.
or it was we had to be very strategic and very smart with our money from the beginning.
Right.
Otherwise, it was never going to happen. None of it was going to happen, and we knew that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's all thanks to
it's
her.
very interesting. So
It's all
now
thanks to her.
I want to like some kind of educational part of this. If you will go back, is there any changes would you do, or if someone in your shoes like starting now, like 10 years back, which kind of suggestions would you give that kind of person? Like I know that it's everyone has his own path and his own suit. Like it's much to me. If I will give my suit to you, maybe it's not sitting good on you, so it's mine. I try to do this is my. But again, there is some things that it's common for everyone, right? So from my first meeting with you, the one of the things like it was like, it's your discipline. You mentioned a couple of things on back that time that you are coming very early, and that time is some people is still sleeping, and they are like maybe what kind of suggestions that would you give yourself years back or someone that is right now in that shape?
Um, I'd say if somebody wants to end up, it's hard to say because, as you said, everybody's path will be different. Everybody's path or dreams or ambitions are different. Um, don't look for inspiration. That's my biggest
No.
advice, I guess. There's always this illusion about wealth and success and money and how you can manage it and how you can actually capitalize on what you have and what you're achieving and so on and so forth. How can you multiply it? There's so many things on social media that
Right.
tells you how you can be a millionaire in two
Yeah.
days or whatever. Doesn't matter. None of that matters. The whole point of me starting early, or of me taking the steps that I took to end up here, which again is not the end, is it wasn't money. It wasn't the illusion of wealth. It wasn't the illusion of being rich. In many ways, even today, I say, money makes you comfortable, but it doesn't make you happy.
Right.
It's the quality of life that you choose to live and how you manage your time that makes you actually wealthy. Having the time to go home early, having the time to spend time with your kids, see them grow, or take them to school or pick them up from school even. I don't take them to school, but I do pick them up as
Yeah,
much
you
as I
mentioned
can.
like when you were starting, when you are going to, when you are starting your day, what time?
5 a.m.
5 a.m.
Usually I leave home at 5 a.m.
Winter, summer.
Winter or summer, doesn't matter, all year round. 5 days a week, 5 a.m. We're around 6 o'clock. We start our day actually working, but we get together nice and early. My whole crew agrees with me that starting early makes sense. We're all young families, and we're all in our 30s, and it makes sense for us to get up early and show up, and we beat traffic, for one. It's a fresh start. It's a nice, cool morning. There's no craziness happening. We're not rushing to get to work. We're
Right.
already there. we're one step ahead of the whole city essentially at that point, and we can start early and we can finish early and go home to our families or pick up our kids from
I'm
school or
hearing
whatever
you.
it
You
may
are
be.
starting 5, like kind of. I am behind 45 minutes of you, so your day is 45 minutes longer than my
That's
day.
right.
I'm doing meeting every morning 5:45 a.m. with other agents. That's how we are starting our day. So now
Perfect.
I'm going to change that to see
Mm.
how many will stay when we will start
Yeah.
5:30 at least.
Yeah.
So another thing you mentioned is very, very important thing. When people are thinking, okay, we're in a business, we're losing time to be with family. And we had a conversation, you mentioned that picking up kids from school is not just only it's a picking up on me, but it's a time to spend with kids as
For
well.
sure.
So how you are managing that part? Because in the business, so many people, like, it's not if number one, but it's one of the complaints that I am like so much in the business that I don't have time for family, or I don't have time for kids, and they are losing those time spending with their family. So how you are successfully managing that top part?
I find a lot of businessmen, successful businessmen for the most part, not to take anything away from them, but money consumes them. They see the loss and it affects them more than it should, in my opinion. Um, the common motivator should never be money. And it always starts with people who complain about, oh, I'm so tied up, or I can't keep up, or blah, blah, blah. 90% of the time, those are the guys who wake up at 9 o'clock.
Oh, I see.
They go to the gym, or they go and stop for coffee, or whatever. By the time their day starts, it's already 10 o'clock. Then they stop for lunch. Then they do this. Then they drive halfway across the city to do whatever. So when actual work is getting done is middle of rush hour when I'm going home.
Yeah, you.
So the early start, you got to realize there's 5 hours there between 10 and 5.
Right.
Most of our jobs are almost done at 10. We're already in and out. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that stuff is perspective. It's also, it's a chain reaction. So when you start at 9, you're obviously going to get home at 9 after 12 hours of beating yourself up. You haven't seen your kids, you haven't seen your family. You've been exhausted during work because work honestly exhausts you. It's your drive while you work
I'm
as
thinking
also,
back on myself as well.
right? And then it's a chain reaction, and it's a snowball effect, and it just turns into this. We still work the same hours, the
Right.
same amount of hours, but
it's-
where I end my day is at your lunchtime. So there's a
Yeah.
big difference there. So again, it's what drives you, why it drives you, and when you start actually accomplishing things in a day. That changes the whole. How long is a
Yeah.
day? You know what I mean?
It's changing the.
So weekends are too short to spend time with family. Usually you're doing things around the house or you have other things to do.
Right.
And it just doesn't, in my mind, just doesn't work.
Nice. I think it's discipline is part of the business. To have a successful business, discipline is number one thing that it's keeping things going.
For sure.
Talking about your cars.
Yeah.
It's still, that's a big motivational thing that you are on it. Like when I saw so many old cars, different kind of cars on your shop. So talk about that kind of hobby. So how that helping you as well. But I believe that time to time the hobbies are helping to build a business. So why you never thought about to build a business on that side as well?
That's a very interesting question because a lot of people ask me, like, you love cars so much, why don't you do anything with cars?
Right.
You see, I've always been a strong believer is when you mix passion with business, you kind of lose the passion part of it.
Oh,
When you involve money with something that you love so much or that you enjoy so much, it kind of loses meaning. And for me, it was never about making money. I can probably count, I can't even count. Like there doesn't exist that I've made money on a car. Just has never happened. The other day, me and my wife were talking, and she mentioned, "Is like, have you ever counted how many cars you've owned in the last since you got your license, which is under 20, well, about 20 years?" I said, "No, I've never actually counted," and then I did,
no.
and within, so I've on average, I've had 3 cars a year,
Wow, per
new to
year.
me cars a year, and it wasn't kind of a shock to me. I kind of knew what I was getting into, but it was again, it's a thing that you don't think about financially because it's such a thing that you enjoy doing, right? Uh, for me, cars have always been interesting from a young age. I had little Matchbox and Maisto cars, and it was kind of the only thing we had for me
Hmm.
for me to play with when I was growing up. You know, it was a war-torn country. There wasn't much happening outside. Nobody really played on. We played on the street, but not for so long. It was curfews. There was, electricity was never on.
Amplified.
Candle lights and small cars was kind of my childhood, and it was always like, I was always interested. My uncle on my father's side was a mechanic. My cousins used to race cars. My father, in his earlier times, loved cars and he used to race cars as well. So he had these little trophies here and there from Canada,
Racing.
where he got first place and third place in stock car
Hmm.
demolition derby. So for me, it was always like cars. Cars are always important, right? In my head, it was kind of embedded. Until this day, I mean, unfortunately, you grow out of it in some sense, but at the same time, you don't grow out of it. It never
Yeah.
leaves you. It's
It's staying
always
with
there,
you.
you know.
Toys become a bigger.
That's right. They just
It,
get bigger. And
yeah.
I mean, it comes to a point where you're like, I'm driving anyway. Why should I
Mm.
drive something boring? What's my perspective, my perspective of boring? Why can't I do that in something more exciting? And that's essentially where it ends up now.
Mm.
Because yeah, as you say, toys get bigger and
Yeah. Interest is different.
very expensive, very reckless hobby. But again,
If you will have a chance to start a business, new business, would you change it, or you like now that business become part of your life as well, that you will do the same thing? It
the good question. Um, no, I wouldn't change the business part of things as far as like the trade and
Mhm.
the nature of the business. I would probably try and do it earlier.
Earlier,
But again, things don't happen like that. You need
right?
the experience, you need the knowledge to do it earlier.
Time is coming.
And I feel like when I started, it was kind of that sweet spot where there was enough knowledge there was enough experience there to be able, and courage is a big thing too. I mean,
Yeah, in every business.
yeah, it's terrifying leaving a paycheck and going naked
Yeah,
into the woods and just, you know,
starting from
you're on your
scratch.
own.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of the time where I first moved to Canada
Oh,
because it was like the same feeling, when this is new, this is all foreign. I don't know what to do, where to go, where to start.
that's why I ask like the family support, because some of the people that I'm meeting and like during my like they're buying a property with me or something, or we're having always conversation, and I feel like I like why you are not starting your business, and like I feel that, oh, if I will start, like there is no family support. Some cases like they're like, okay, this is your 9 to 5, you are doing good on this, like you are earning whatever you are earning and stay there. And there is family support is very important part of the starting of business, because if partner is not supporting that, because this can be different kind of directions.
Sure.
So it's very important that they will not be team up as a family, but it will be team up in a business as well. And then somehow starting business part is everyone is a team up with their wife, with husband, and they are helping to each other.
Hmm.
That's a very, very important part as well, I believe,
Yeah.
when you are starting a business. When you were starting, how was your wife has reacted on that?
Um, you know what? She was probably the most supportive out of everybody. I don't have much family here. It was just my siblings, my mom. Um, they don't have that background. They don't have that financial background that can advise on how to
Mm.
do these things. Uh, Also, although my wife also she's in finance now. She's an accountant and she's in finance with insurance
Mhm.
companies and such. So she has a very good knowledge of these ins and outs of how business, how taxes, how
Yeah.
expenses work and everything else. So uh, for me to take that step into business, even though I was confident in myself, I wasn't confident in finances.
I see.
Um, not physical money that
Yeah, I
was
understand.
there.
The
I mean,
knowledge
as
wise,
in the
like was what.
knowledge-wise, how to manage all of that wasn't there. But luckily for me, my wife was knowledgeable enough
She took
to
care of
get
that
to
part.
help us start. I mean, every day we learn together. When there's new things, there's new ways of billing, there's new ways of expensing, and this and that. I mean, there's such wealth of knowledge out there that is willing to help you if you have any questions. But you just got to ask the right questions to the right people, right? So that was probably one of the biggest supporting, uh, one of the biggest supporters of my from was my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Ishkhan, thank you very much for your time. It's really like so many questions I can ask, and there are so many questions unanswered yet, but we have some time. I believe we will do next one and next one, and I will invite you again.
Sure.
So the person who introduced us, I'm really thankful, and I believe everyone who has question or who wants to invite Ishkhan, you are always, I believe, will accept to meet with them,
Absolutely.
to talk to them, and believe that we are doing this too for people who wants to do something, but they are not that, I don't want to say courage, but they are some kind of need that inspiration to make an action, right? And each of us who went through this can help to other people to have that success as well.
For sure.
Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for
And I
having me.
want to ask to everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel, share with people who really need this information to take their action. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you.
Thank you.